Most people are getting overcome. They're getting overcome by their circumstances, overcome by their financial needs. They're getting overcome by the things that people have spoken over them and all the horrors of life. But what if we saw those horrible experiences and we allowed it to bring a different level of greatness out of us? Are you overwhelmed? Are you looking at this big mountain in front of you and saying, there is no way, I can't tackle this, I can't do this? You're in the right place. We can be hiding in a corner, not knowing how we can even take the next breath, let alone the next step. That is going to happen at times. But it's what we do after we have that moment where we realize, yes, it is overwhelming, it is exhausting, it is devastating, but there is always something that we can do about it. We can pick our heads up, look at the mountain, and say, okay, let's go. It's not about the size or strength of the mountain that's in front of you. It's about the strength that's in you. All it takes is a subtle shift in perspective that can turn us on a different course. And in this case, it's not looking at the mountain and running away. It's not looking at the challenge and saying, let me put it off. I got to do this. I got to make this phone call. I got to answer this email. I'm going to go out with my friends tonight. I'm going to do anything else but face this challenge. There's a scene in Batman that's pretty cool. It's when Bruce Wayne goes into his deep, dark cave and he's not Batman yet. And he is terrified of bats because of a traumatic experience he had when he was a child. So he goes into this cave knowing that there's bats in there and he waits, and then they come and they flood the cave and they're flying all around him and they're touching him and everything. And at first he cowers down and he's afraid, but then he slowly rises and he gets up and he really embraces the thing that he's the most afraid of. And that's what I'm talking about. The subtle shift is, instead of running away from the challenge and saying it's too much and I can't, saying, I will face you today, turning towards it and embracing it. When we put our energy and our focus and our efforts on that challenge, we can take it apart piece by piece. We are designed to be overcomers. Most people are getting overcome. They're getting overcome by their circumstances, overcome by their financial needs. They're getting overcome by the things that people have spoken over them and all the horrors of life, all kinds of trauma and terrible experiences. But what if we saw those horrible experiences and we allowed it to bring a different level of greatness out of us? We allow it to tap into a reservoir of strength that we did not know we had. And that could unleash the best version of you that you didn't know existed until you got faced with this. I remember I had been working in construction for a time, and I went to one of my friends' houses and they had a pull-up bar, and I had never, ever been able to do a pull-up in my life. And I went over and just for fun, I just grabbed the handles and I slowly pulled myself up, and I was in shock because I did not know the strength that I had gained from working in construction. I didn't know the strength that I had yet until I tested it. And it's that way with our challenges if we let it be. It doesn't mean that you're going to get what you're wanting. It doesn't mean that you're going to get the outcome that you're hoping for. But it means that you do not allow it to make you a victim, make you depressed, full of anxiety, not living a full life, not feeling at peace and with joy. That is still accessible for you. There's a lot of other things that are important, of course. Taking care of our bodies physically, making sure we're getting exercise and going outside and nature and eating right and drinking enough water and saying no to things that we shouldn't be saying yes to. And there's so many other things that we can do that is helpful to our situation. But I'm specifically talking about this one thing, which is to embrace the challenge. When you take it head on, you don't have to worry about defeating the entire mountain. You only have to worry about taking the next step. That is the key. I'm reading a book to my daughters about this teenager who climbed Mount Everest. And he said something that was so fascinating to me. He has this trek, and there's all these teams and different parties of people on Mount Everest. And he says, we have nothing in common except for one thing. He's like, we are from every country imaginable. We're from every background, every age, even every body type and fitness level. But the one thing that they had in common, he said, was the mental willpower to take the next step. If we are moving forward, eventually we will climb the mountain. If we bury our heads in the sand, we will not be overcoming anything. If we turn around, run away, if we pretend like it doesn't exist, then we'll never overcome it. It will continue to nag at us and rob some of our life away. So maybe the key is not necessarily what you wanted to hear, but I hope that it gives you some hope. You have so much more power inside of you than you give yourself credit for. Allow this challenge to bring out the greatness that is inside of you. We can't just sit around and pray and wait for something to happen. We are also designed to take action. So what actions can you take? For one, turning and facing the mountain. There are fewer things that make you feel better in this world than when you do something you thought was impossible. You thought there was no way you could do it, and then you actually do it. I was hanging out with somebody once, and we were new friends. We didn't really know each other that well. She had seen me around and had very little interaction with me. But then when we actually sat down and spent time together, at the end of our time, she actually admitted she was surprised. And I said, "What are you surprised about?" She said, "I saw you and I thought your life was like perfect and easy and that you didn't have any problems." And I said, "What? Why would you think that?" Because pain does not have to defeat us. And trying circumstances don't get to have the last say if you don't let them. Do not lose hope. Do not lose hope today. The challenge that's in front of you, it might just be the tool that could bring out the most amazing things in yourself. There are a lot of resources out there to face your challenges and to overcome them and to get mental shifts. Coaching is one of those resources. If you're interested in checking it out, you can click on my link in the description below, book a sample session with me, and we can move forward together. Let's see how we can tackle the mountain one step at a time until you reach your destination. Let's not be defeated by our circumstances anymore. Let's rise to the occasion. Let's be overcomers.